Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the class. Hope everyone is doing well. So last class we started with the chapter, right? So what was the chapter? The chapter is Human Health and Diseases, isn't it? So just we can go for a short recap of what we have already discussed. Okay. So we discussed about what is health. What is health? It is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being and not merely free from diseases. Then we discussed about what is a disease. So what is a disease? Disease is a condition which is interfering with proper functioning of our body. Means normal functioning is not taking place because you are having some diseases. Okay. Then we categorized them into two types of diseases. The first is your infectious diseases and the second category was non-infectious. Then we even differentiated between the infectious diseases and the non-infectious diseases. And we learned a new term called as pathogen. It's not new, you would have learned it in your lower class as well. So pathogen. So what is a pathogen? It is disease causing germ, isn't it? Then we discussed about the different types of pathogens which is causing infectious diseases. In that we categorize them under different heads, different types. One is bacterial, then viral, then protozoal, then helminthic, isn't it? Then fungal. Like that we categorized them. Today we are moving into the next portion. So till this I think everyone is clear only. It's not that difficult. Today we are moving on to the types of diseases caused by different pathogens, name of the pathogen and what is the diseases they are causing. Okay, we are going to categorize them and we are going to learn them one by one. Not much in detail but to some extent, yeah, we are going to learn a bit detail. Okay. So the first pathogen what we are going to take is we are going to take bacteria. What we are going to take? We are going to take bacteria. Okay. So this bacteria you would have learned the characteristics, the nature, the structure, everything in class 11, isn't it? Now we are going to discuss about the diseases which are caused by bacteria. We are going to discuss two diseases which are caused by bacteria. Okay. So what are the two diseases? One disease is typhoid and the second disease is pneumonia. So under bacterial diseases we are going to discuss about typhoid. We are going to discuss about pneumonia. Understood? So the first disease what we are going to take is we are going to take typhoid. Now listen students, when I am telling that typhoid is a bacterial disease. So whatever the disease is, how you have to learn? You have to learn about the causative organism. The organism which is causing the disease. That is point number one. Then what are the symptoms which you have when you are suffering from these diseases? That you have to know. Thereafter, you have to learn the test which is performed for detecting whether that pathogen is present in my body or not. Thereafter, in case preventive measures are there, that also has to be discussed. Understood. So with this, we are moving on to the first disease. What is the name of the first disease? It is typhoid. Okay, and it is caused by a bacteria. Now, when you are saying what is the name of the bacteria which is causing this disease, this is caused by a bacteria called as Salmonella typhi. So who is the bacteria which is causing it? It is Salmonella typhi. Okay. Now how it is spreading? How does this mode of transmission or how this typhoid spreads from one person to another? So causative organism we learned it is a bacteria called as what? Salmonella typhi. Okay. So Salmonella typhi. Now the next thing is that how it is spreading, the mode of transmission, how it is spreading from one person to another. So typhoid usually spreads from contaminated water and food. So if the food or the water which we are taking is contaminated with that bacteria, then it can be spread through that. It can enter into my body. It usually goes into the intestine. Where it is going and attacking first, it is going into the intestine. From the intestine, when you are saying it is getting absorbed by the blood and it is transported throughout my body. So the Salmonella typhi enters, mode of transfer, how it is entering into, when you are saying it is entering into my body through contaminated food or contaminated water. Understood? So this Salmonella typhi, when it goes into my body, where it is going into the small intestine. From the small intestine, it is getting absorbed by the blood and it is spreading throughout the body. Is that clear? Now, some of the symptoms which you see when you are having this typhoid is that, point number one is constant high fever. You have constant, means the fever doesn't come down. It will be constant. You will be having for a as long you are having every time like that. Okay, around 39 degree to 40 degrees Celsius you are having your fever. Okay, so that is the first symptom. So constant very high fever, 39 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. Imagine the room temperature is how much? 37. 39 to 40 degrees Celsius. If you're having, it's very high fever. Okay. And then you are having weakness. Weakness, obviously, you can understand you are getting tired. So that is the second symptom. So weakness is a common symptom for all the diseases. Weakness, stomach pain. Since it is going and attacking where? I told you it is going and attacking the small intestine. So obviously you will be having what? You will be having stomach pain. Okay. So that is the third symptom. Then the fourth symptom is loss of appetite. Means you don't feel like doing anything because of weakness, because of tiredness. You're losing your appetite. You're not feeling like having anything. So that is the next symptom. That is the fourth symptom. Okay. Fifth is again intestine. So it is leading to constipation. Okay. Constipation, you know, uneasiness. The stomach is upset. So that is constipation. It's you are having digestive problems. Okay. So giving out the stool and all, it is becoming much difficult. So that process, we call it as what? Constipation. I think you all know what constipation is. Then headache, yeah, you have severe headache. Then if you are not treating it properly, if it is not diagnosed properly, then it may lead to intestinal perforation. Intestinal perforation means what? In the intestine, the walls, there you can find small holes are created, because of which the bowel movement is being disturbed. So holes are created in the intestine. That term what we use is, we call them as intestinal perforation. Okay. So intestinal perforation, and when you are saying death may occur in severe cases. Sometimes typhoid can also lead to death. It means it can be a fatal disease if it is not diagnosed and treated on time. Okay. So this is regarding the symptoms. So I will read out the symptoms one. So again, constant high fever. How much? 39 to 40 degrees Celsius. Then you are having weakness, stomach pain, loss of appetite, constipation, headache, intestinal perforation, and death may occur in severe cases. Okay. Now, how can I confirm whether I am having typhoid or not? There is a test. Very important question. Okay. So what is the name of the organism is also important. What is the name of the organism? It is Salmonella typhi. And what is the test which is performed for diagnosing whether I am having typhoid or not? It is Vidal test. What is the test? Vidal. W-I-D-A-L. Vidal test. Okay. So Vidal test is performed in order to confirm whether I am having typhoid or not. There is a small discussion about a lady called as Mary Mellon. She is popularly known as Typhoid Mary. Listen, what is the discussion about this guy, this girl, okay? This Mary Mellon was actually a cook. She used to cook in royal places, means in rich people's houses, okay? So this Typhoid Mary, when you are seeing, she was a cook. Wherever she was working as a cook, actually, you know that her body is contaminated. So from her body, through the saliva or the fluids, the typhoid can, the Salmonella typhi can enter into, if there is a cough or contact with the food items. It means she is working as a cook, right? So the food and the water which were served in those houses, it was contaminated with what? It was contaminated with the Salmonella typhi. Okay. So the Salmonella typhi was served to the people there working, in the house. So they had it. This Mary Mellon, when you are saying, she was very much immune, it seems, because she was spreading the disease from one house to another, because she was working as a cook in many houses. So what happened is that the common symptoms what they noticed is that each and every houses, there were some symptoms which were noted like this, and it was causing severe problem in those persons who were residing in their house. But this Mary Mellon was much immune. She was not that much affected. Obviously, gradually only the symptoms do appear in her, because of her maybe good immune system. Okay. So from there you can understand that she was the one who was spreading this disease from one house to another, as she was working there, and she was contaminating the food, the water there over there. Okay. So like that, later it was diagnosed that the disease which she was carrying was what? It was typhoid, and hence the name was given as what? Her name was given as Typhoid Mary. Okay. So actually the name is what? It was Mary Mellon. So Mary Mellon, called as Typhoid Mary, was a cook and a typhoid carrier. Okay. So she was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread the disease for several years through the food prepared by her before it was discovered. So that is the sentence which is used in your book. Okay. So she was continuing to spread the disease through the food which she was preparing, because she was the carrier, she was the suffering with that bacteria. So obviously she was spreading the disease from one house to that of the other. Understood? For several years, imagine. So this is regarding the Mary Mellon or the typhoid. Is that clear? So in typhoid, what all we have covered, we will just make a short recap. First, we discussed that who is causing the disease. It is caused by bacteria. What is the name of the bacteria? It is Salmonella typhi. How it is transmitted? It is transmitted through contaminated food and contaminated water. And then how it is getting into? It is getting into the small intestine. Then it is moving into the blood. From the blood, it is spreading throughout my organs. Now, what are the symptoms which is noted? We have learned the symptoms already. Just high fever, like 39 to 40 degrees Celsius. You have headache. You have constipation. Stomach pain is noted. Okay. You have loss of appetite, weakness, tiredness. At high stages, you can find there is intestinal perforation, and severe cases it can also lead to death. Okay. So that is regarding what? That is regarding your typhoid. Thereafter, we discussed about the test which is used for confirming whether I am having typhoid or not. And what is that test? The name of the test is Vidal Test. Vidal, okay? W-I-D-A-L. And then we discussed about a short story about Mary Mellon, commonly called as what? Typhoid Mary, because she was a carrier who was transmitting the virus, the bacteria from one house to another. As she was a cook, she was helping in continuing this in spreading with the help of her food. Okay, so that's why she was named as what? She was named as typhoid. Okay, so that is the first disease what we discussed, which is called as what? The typhoid. The second disease what we are going to discuss is pneumonia. Okay, so pneumonia. Now listen carefully. This is the second disease which is caused by, again, a bacteria. So pneumonia. Pneumonia is caused by two groups of bacteria. Two names are given. One, it is caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae, and the second one, it is caused by Haemophilus influenzae. Okay, so what are the name of the causative organism which is causing pneumonia? It is caused by bacteria named as Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. Okay, so two causative organisms are there for pneumonia: Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. Okay. Thereafter, and which part of the body is affected when you are having this pneumonia, when you are seeing the alveoli of the lungs. So the lungs is the case which is affected. Pneumonia, you know, isn't it? In corona also we had that some of the corona, when you are seeing the virus attacked where? It attacked our lungs and it led to pneumonia. So like that cases are also seen, isn't it? So here we are discussing about the bacteria which is causing pneumonia. Name of the bacteria is Streptococcus pneumonia and Haemophilus influenzae. So which is the organ which is being affected? It is the lungs. So obviously it will be spreading through droplet infection from one person to that of the another, or the person who is using the contaminated materials, the used products of the infected person. Okay, so I am using a handkerchief or a towel or a utensil or a water glass or the plate which is being used by the infected person, then it can spread from that person to me. Is that clear? So I will say it is infecting what? It is infecting the alveoli of the lungs. Then the alveoli, when you are saying, it is getting filled with the fluid. So alveoli, when it is getting filled with, you have learned, isn't it? So alveoli, from there only what is taking place? The gaseous exchange is taking place. So in this case, if the alveoli wall is getting filled with the fluid, there what will not take place? Gaseous exchange will not be taking place, which will lead to breathing difficulty. That breathing difficulty is symptoms for what? It is causing pneumonia. Okay, so so respiratory passage exchange is being decreased, because of which he is suffering from breathing difficulties. Common symptom of what? It is a symptom of pneumonia. Okay, so how it is spreading? I told you it is spreading through droplet or aerosol infection from one infected person to that of the healthy person, or by sharing the utensils or any materials which are used by the infected person, and if the healthy person is using it, then he or she can gradually get the disease. Okay, so that is regarding your pneumonia, so caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. And what it is affecting? The alveoli of the lungs is getting inflated, because of which gaseous exchange is not taking place properly. Of sufficient amount of oxygen is not received, resulting in breathing difficulty. Main symptom. Okay, how it is spreading? It is spreading to aerosol or droplet infection from infected person to that of the healthy person. Okay, or if you are using the utensils of the patient who is suffering from there also, if it is spreading to a healthy person, it can easily spread. Okay, now symptoms I will read out. Fever, chills. Okay, you can find chills are there. Chills you can understand. High chills. Then cough is another symptom. Headache, obviously it is there. And much thing what you have to notice, if it is not diagnosed in the beginning stage and it has been left thinking of that it is only a normal fever, then at last it can lead to the lips as well as the nails turning somewhat grayish blue in color. Okay, this is severe cases, so it's very dangerous. Fingernails or your lips and all can appear what? It can be appearing to some extent gray to bluish in color. So that is the last stage you can find this symptom is noted. Okay. So what all we discussed today? We discussed about one thing. What we discussed is that we discussed about the bacterial diseases. In that, the first one what we discussed is your typhoid. Typhoid is caused by what? The typhoid is caused by a bacteria. What is the name of the bacteria? Salmonella typhi. Then we discussed about how it is spreading, which organ it is affecting, what are the symptoms, what are the confirmation tests, and we discussed about Mary Mellon, right? And the next what we discussed is we discussed about pneumonia. What is the causative organism? Two are there, Streptococcus pneumonia and Haemophilus influenzae. Then we discussed about how it is spreading, mode of transmission through droplet, and then we discussed about its area which is affected, that is the alveoli of the lungs, and then we discussed about its symptoms. Okay, so let us wind up with this today. That's enough for today. So we discussed about the two bacterial diseases. Hope so it's clear. So from the beginning, health, diseases, types of diseases, infectious, non-infectious, pathogen, types of pathogens causing different types of infectious diseases. In that, the first one is your bacteria with the diseases. So let's wind up for today. Thank you. Have a nice day. Make sure that till this everyone is thorough with whatever has been covered and you're ready to answer whatever question we are asking. Spellings are somewhat important. Salmonella typhi, Haemophilus influenzae, Streptococcus pneumonia. You have to learn the spellings, right? So do learn the spellings and keep learning. Enjoy.